Välkomna till dagens avsnitt av Volleysnack av BIP Sweden. Ny förbundskapten för Sveriges damer, Lauri Hakala. Möjligtvis jag uttalade fel, men vi är superglada att vi har med han på en intervju. Vi har faktiskt spelat in intervjun redan innan idag på eftermiddagen på grund av hans schema. Men vi ska klippa in till den här alldeles strax. Men innan det ska vi börja med lite senaste nytt. Tony, välkommen.
Tackar.
Senaste nytt, BIP Skills Camp. Hur ser det ut? Hur går det?
Nej, men roligt. Vi har ju nästan fyllt lägret här, så vi är ju närmare 60 ungdomar som kommer till, det är nästa helg, så det är påskhelgen. Och det är som jag sagt tidigare, det är en ny upplägg för våra läger. Så 60 ungdomar och 12 tränare på plats, så att det är oerhört tätt. Så att det skulle bli ett roligt läger att köra i Värnamo, så att det ser fram emot.
Appladalen.
Precis, Applaskolan heter det. Heter inte det som vi ska vara eller bo och äta i?
Det är nästan mina hemtrakter, så det känns som hemma.
Global
Challenge är ju, det blir närmare och närmare. Det känns som vi har pratat om det ett tag, men nu är det snart dags.
Nu är det snart dags, ja. Ja, det är häftigt. Det är verkligen en läge nu, för nu har vi ju skickat ut de sista anmälningarna här nu, så att nu håller vi på att bygga laget på allvar. Och jag la faktiskt ut idag att vi saknar ett par spelare. Vi skulle vilja ha in någon ett par passar till kanske och någon center till, liksom, för att få lite bredd i laget. Så att, men annars ser det jättebra ut. Vi fick ju egentligen SAS avboka våra flyg förra veckan, så det var lite panik. Men det har löst sig, så att vi ligger kvar på nästan samma program. Så att Global Challenge hoppas jag inte folk missar, för att det är en häftig turnering, och det har vi pratat om så många gånger här. Men nu är det verkligen snart läge att åka dit, så det ska vara roligt.
Ja, i värsta fall får ni väl hyra en båt och segla ni.
Ja.
Semifinalerna till helgen också. Det följer ju nästan, jag säger vår plan med din plan, men vi är ju nästan där.
Ja.
Örebro, Ängelholm är ju spännande. Vad tror vi?
Ja. Alltså Örebro har ju lyfts under våren när de fick in en ny, heter hon? Jag har tappat hennes namn här. Men den amerikanska, hon har ju lyft laget. Hon har till och med lyft sina andra anfallare på kanterna. Och Jonna har kommit in i laget nu och spelar. Hon har ju en attityd, tror jag, och liksom en inställning som får ha av spelarna i Sverige. Så att det är ju 2 viktiga pjäser som kommit in under våren för dem. Så Örebro ser ju starka ut. Sen är ju Ängelholm ett starkt slutspelslag, och de brukar stå i en final, så och det vet ju Örebro också, så att det där är öppet. Första matchen blir ju intressant att se. Den är ju nästan avgörande. Ja, jag tror nästan avgörande.
Ja, nej, det är spännande. Det hade mycket väl kunnat vara en final. Nu vill jag inte att Hylte Halmstad ska attackera mig igen. Jag är nästan livrädd för att säga någonting, för vi får alltid någon kommentar. Men det hade kunnat vara en final i mina ögon. Sen har vi ju då Hylte Halmstad mot Linköping. Ganska självklar vinst för Hylte Halmstad, va? Ja,
jag tror inte att Linköping kan rå på Hylte där. Det har de inte gjort innan, och tror inte de gör nu heller. Så att, och det är klart att även de topplagen som varit med i många år i slutspelet, de vet hur man formtoppar, och de är inte så stressade av en semifinal. Medan Linköping är det för första gången och har inte den erfarenheten. Så att, nej, det är 3 snabba matcher där. Sen kan man ju hoppas att Linköping står upp och ger dem en match. Men det är 3 matcher där.
Ja. Nej, hatten av till Linköping. Bra säsong på de sidan. Här sidan, där har vi Hylte och Hylte Halmstad mot Floby.
Det är roligt. Jag är glad att Floby är i semifinal igen. Det får man inte glömma att det är ju liksom en gammal anrik förening och som har vunnit några guld och som är uppe igen. Och så vi säger väl välkomna till Kalle Nordéns gäng till semifinalen. Men jag tror att Hylte är för starka också. Va? De har rätt så många spelare, och de har Marcus Nilsson på högerkanten, och de har duktiga spelare på alla positioner. Så att, jag hoppas att Floby kan sno en match, även om det kommer nog vara svårt för dem.
Och sista matchen, vad tror vi?
Ja. Det är ju... Falkenberg har ju varit en klar tvåa i år. Vingåker har väl varit mycket upp och ner. De hade väl någon rad där de förlorade 6 matcher i rad. Så att det hänger väl mycket också på Dardan, och är det ett par spelare till som de har som är oerhört viktiga att de gör bra ifrån sig. Så att den tror jag kan bli lite tuffare, den semin, även om jag tror att Falkenberg vinner i längden.
Där var ju Vingåker som slog ut Hab, och annars var det ju faktiskt enligt vår plan hyfsat bra.
Ja, precis. Nej, som du sa, Vingåker har ju varit upp och ner här, och nu har de varit upp i slutet. Så att det ska bli intressant att se hur mycket de kan utmana Falkenberg.
Vi ska strax klippa in intervjun här med Lauri. Fantastiskt trevlig herre. En bra val. Vi avrundar lite med våra tankar också i slutet av samtalet med honom. Men jag tänker, dina tankar, vad tycker du om förbundets val av förbundskapten?
Nej, men det är klart att jag tyckte, alltså det som jag säger när vi pratar med Lauri också, att det är ett jättebra val. Och man andas ut lite, va? För att det är ju så, svensk volleyboll har ju byggts mycket nu, eller i alla fall medialt, att vi har ett bra damlandslag. Så att det är jätteviktigt att vi får fortsätta och ha de förutsättningarna. Och med Lauri tror jag definitivt att vi kan lyfta det ännu mer. Sen är det svårt för honom att ta laget längre än en kvartsfinal nästa sommar. Men jag tycker det är bra val. Jag tycker det är, som jag säger också, att det är geografiskt att man väljer en tränare som är uppifrån norr. Som kan lite mer våra värderingar och förutsättningar på svensk volleyboll. För vi kan inte bara ringa och byta ut spelarna, utan de 14-16 som han kommer ha liksom i kärntruppen, det är de han ska utveckla. Han kan inte köpa in några eller ringa in några andra, utan det är upp till honom att utveckla dem för att de blir bättre, för att vi ska kunna utmana andra lag under EM 2023.
Nej, det ska bli spännande att följa faktiskt. Jag håller helt och hållet med. Jag blev mycket positivt överraskad efter intervjun, så se till att ni stannar kvar och lyssnar på Lauri, och vi ska göra så att vi klipper in till intervjun här, Tony, och sen så låter vi lyssna få en liten inblick i Lauris tankar och idéer. Okay, today we have a special guest, and as you know, we're going to date this episode in English. We might put a Swedish word in here and there because you have a connection to Sweden that we're going to talk more about. But first of all, congrats to your new job with Swedish Volleyball Federation. And I'm thinking, I just want to overall, we talked a little bit before, and we had some fun story about you and Tony have met before, and on a specific game you were talking about. What was that story?
Yeah, so I coached Sollentuna men's team a couple years ago, and we played Örkelljunga in quarterfinals, I believe, and there was a traffic accident or something. A truck got fire, maybe 40 kilometers or something like that from Örkelljunga, and then we tried to postpone the game, and Tony didn't want to do it. Tony, you can tell me what happened, but I think we wanted to postpone the game, and you didn't want to do it. And then we had to take little cars and come there, and we demanded a longer warm up, I think. And we had disagreements about how long we should warm up, perhaps.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, no, I was always trying to step out of it, because I said to the club, can somebody take this discussion? And nobody wants to do it. And I talked with the refs, so I put it on the ref. And I think I said it to you also, that the ref has to take the decision. And I remember there was, I think it was Stefan Bernström, wasn't it? Yeah. And it was him that took that decision. I said, you have to decide what we're doing now. And I didn't vote anyway. But there was him that took the decision. But for us.
For you. But I'm sure. But and then we didn't agree with it. And then there was a fight all game. And then, but it makes for a good story. I just hope nobody got hurt in the traffic accident.
No, that was intense. And there was I think it was a 5-set match. I think, weren't we up 2 or something? And then you turned around or something. There was a really long game.
It was a really long game, and there were yellow cards, red cards. I forget the details, but yeah.
Yeah. That was your little setter, your Jonas, yeah, I remember that.
So I was there, watched through the net, and then one of your players came through the net, and then there was a big battle. But and nobody, we survived, and we're here.
I forgot about that. There was more incidents in that match. There was a lot of incidents.
It was just one thing after another.
Yeah.
That's maybe what Swedish volleyball need at the moment, because it's not always too exciting to watch this season. But let's not get stuck too much about that. But I'm happy to hear that story, and hopefully we get more stories down the road here too. But I want to start by asking you, Lauri. Who are you as a person? Like we've seen the press release. A lot of people are talking about it, but who are you as a person?
Yeah, that's an easy question. A long or short answer: I'm a dad. I guess that's what I want to say first. I have a 4-year-old daughter, husband, married to a woman who's also involved in sports. Sports psychologist, also a former volleyball player, and I have 2 brothers. Come from a volleyball, not a city, maybe it's a volleyball town in Finland called Pieksämäki. Back in the day, it used to have great volleyball teams. We played a lot of volleyball growing up, and then I guess the way I learned how to become a coach, which is what I am now, that came from the United States, more or less. Along the journey, I ended up living in 8 countries, I think. And I don't know what kind of person I am. I guess I just told you what I've done, more or less. But fun-loving, I'd like to think that. I'd like to think that I'm a good listener. I'd like to think I'm a demanding coach, and that I like teaching. So maybe those are a couple things. Some people think maybe I'm too demanding on certain aspects, but I think it comes with the profession.
Right. Oh, that's great. And you talked a little bit about living in different country, and we talked about Pepperdine for a second before we start recording. But tell us a little bit, what is your coaching background and what's your former experience until today?
Yeah, so I started coaching actually when I was, I think, 17 or 16. I coached my brother's team. So junior club. When I played in Germany, I coached a girls under 17-year-olds team. So I had these during my playing career. I had these coaching experiences, what it's like to be a head coach of a junior team. So quite early in life. But then I studied volleyball in the United States. I studied and got a degree in communication. So I studied human communication, psychology, a couple languages at the University of Hawaii. And I got connected with some of the people who have been building the USA volleyball national team pipeline. Carl McGowan, Marv Dunphy, a couple other people, and through them I started to actually study how to be a coach. And I was very lucky. I got to be an assistant both for Carl McGowan, a former USA head coach for men, and then Marv Dunphy, also a former head coach. And after I got done playing college, I came back to Europe. I played a few more seasons and then became a coach. And in short, I was an assistant at Pepperdine for 1 year in California, and then had a smaller role. I was part of the staff of Dynamo Kazan in Russia. And then I was an assistant in Slovenia for Ljubljana, ACH Ljubljana, that played in the men's Champions League at the time. And then I also was an assistant for the Slovenian men's team. I came back to Finland. I became a head coach of a club there for 3 seasons. I helped both Finnish men's and women's national teams as an assistant. And then I had one summer with the Netherlands women's team, which was a top team, still is a top team, really good volleyball team. And then there was
who was coaching in Netherlands then? Who was the head coach?
Jamie Morrison.
Morrison, yeah.
Jamie Morrison, yeah. And then Chris McGowan was also on the staff. Chris McGowan is Carl McGowan's son. Yeah. So, it was a lot of different experiences. And then when our daughter was born, it was a good time to settle in Finland for a little while. And I got a job with the Olympic Committee as a team sport high performance manager, I guess. So I now currently still for a couple of weeks, I'm responsible for helping team sports achieve success. So although it may sound interesting for a volleyball coach, but one of the things I'm supposed to be helping with is that Finland wins Olympic gold in ice hockey, that our soccer team makes it to the Euro finals, that our volleyball and basketball teams make to the top 16. So you can think of it as coaching coaches, maybe. What I've done the past 3 seasons, but I've also been close to volleyball practice. I live in a place where the national teams train, and been consultant to both of men's and women's programs. So it sounds like a lot, and it has been a lot, but it has kept my family in one location while the daughter was, just a baby. So it was good.
Right. Let's hope you fail with the hockey, because we won a gold in Sweden. But the rest I hope you succeed with.
Yeah, it's just I'm pretty happy about the last Olympics. We finally got it, although I wish the NHL players had been there. But yeah, and I know it's not always the success belongs to the coach and the team and those players, but inside our organization, it's whatever little things we can do to help.
Right.
Whether it's funding or something else, then we do it.
Hey, what I understand, but what I understand is that you're not leaving that job, so it's not a full-time position in Sweden. So is that a half-time position, and how is the setup with the Olympic Committee in Finland?
Yeah, so this job has been a full-time job now, more than a full-time job. Now, when I come to Sweden, we of course in volleyball the national team seasons go over the summer. So roughly from May to August, September, depending on what the tournaments are. And I made the decision early on. I wanted not to have a club team with it because it's very demanding, and I wanted my full attention team-wise to be with Sweden. So I'm pretty happy about that choice. And for the next 2 summers, that's how it's going to be like. And the Finnish Olympic Committee, currently they are reorganizing some of their functions, and we'll see if I can have some type of a job over the winter with them, but we don't know that yet.
Okay. Hey, let's did you have something else there, Daniel? Or
no, I mean it's always interesting to hear, and I think especially our listeners are really excited because as I said, the press release went out with a little bit of background, but I was sure there was going to be a lot more, and it's going to be fun and especially interesting with your philosophy and your communication and all those kind of things, and your different background from all the countries. Like it's almost, for me, it's almost putting a puzzle together, and you seem to being able, with all those backgrounds, being able to bring a lot to the Swedish Volleyball Federation, and it's going to be super excited to see what you can do with that team.
Yeah, it's appreciate the words. I think one of the reasons why I was really interested in Sweden, I have moved to Sweden already once in my life because I was interested in the country. In Finland, I'm 39, and my generation, we studied Swedish for 6 years. Of course, then I didn't use it at all. But one of the reasons was that I wanted to learn more Swedish.
Right.
I can read Swedish fairly well, almost everything. And now it's rusty, of course, because I haven't practiced for 3 years. But the language was one part. The culture was other. We used to be one country for 600 years, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of shared Nordic background, I guess. And I had a really good experience in Sollentuna. Just good people, good conversations with players. People seemed interested. They wanted to learn. They wanted to be coached. And those are the same kinds of messages that I've heard about the Swedish women's team, of course. And I saw it as a team that has a lot of potential. I don't think I'm alone in that position. I think a lot of other people also think the women's team they already had a good result, but there can still be growth.
So with you watching what happened in the European tournament that they just played, and a great result, and starting to look into the teams more in details, I guess, what is some important things for you to implement in a team like Sweden, or overall when you're coaching, what is some keystones that you use to to implement for making it yours, or at least putting a stamp on it?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'd like to think of it, making it ours. It's the first thing I told the players, to send a little video message saying, hey, I want to do it together. Great teams, often there's an individual, sometimes it's a star player, some occasions star coach, but it's really, you do it together. A little bit of coaching is knowledge, but most of it is people.
Right.
And you have to build good relationships based on trust. And when that happens and people can feel vulnerable and they can feel like they're safe, and that's when the magic starts happening. So that relationship part is crucial. I think people in general, they want to learn, but they need the trust. And I think it comes from two things. I think it comes from, firstly, I need to know you care about me. If you don't care about me, maybe I don't do what you want me to do.
Right.
And the other part is, of course, the coach needs to know what he's doing. And so those are the two things that I want to do. And it's not because I want it for the result. I think there's an inherent good about caring for others, and at the same time, caring doesn't mean we're not demanding, but it's like, hey, I'm actually interested in how you're doing. And then the other part, how we play efficient volleyball, that's not, I think, special to this team or any other team. I think the fundamental skills and tactics of the game would be the same. We want our setters to do certain things in every team. We want our hitters to hit from a certain position in every team. And when we get going, we'll start coaching right away. And of course, the relationships take time to build. So it's good we have some time before the next European Championship.
Oh yeah, come on, it's 1 year.
No, like it's 2 summers, so that just to give you a background from like soccer right now or basketball, they may have one practice with the team when they gather the players from the clubs, and there's one practice and then you have to play volleyball or basketball or soccer or whatever, and at least we have some time to train.
Yeah, of course. I just mean, now we're a little better in Sweden right now because we have a lot of players abroad. If you just go back a couple of years, we have fewer players outside. So at least I will say 80% of the national team players that will be in the squad to the European Championship, they will have played international the last 2, 3, 4 years now. So they get good competition. So I think that's helped a lot, of course.
Yes, absolutely. And there are good examples. Last time Finland was very good on the men's side. We were 4th in the European Championship 2007. And a lot of that success came from our players getting to play in the better leagues.
Yeah. And
there was a time when everybody just went out and we had, I don't know what the numbers were, but for a small country, we had maybe 25 to 30 guys out. And of course, they have to be in good places as well. But Sweden has, players in good leagues.
Yeah. Hey, so when we talk about Finland and Sweden, do you think when it comes to the women's, is there any difference for you with the women in Sweden and Finland?
I want to. Can you be more specific, as in a personality or culture or? Yeah.
I mean, that's maybe the bigger thing, and maybe a little about how the Finnish are played and how the Sweden is playing. Do you think is any huge or big differences, or you think they're pretty close? How we are acting and as a team, as an individual, and how we're playing?
I think Finland has a little longer history with the same philosophy. This next summer will be his last for now. Tapio Kangasniemi, the head coach, but he's been there, I forget, 7 or 8 years. And he has had different assistant coaches. I was his assistant once, but maybe 5 of us, and we were all inside the same philosophy. So there's a lot of building blocks that are in place and that haven't changed too much. And so I think Finland has a longer tradition of, hey, this is how Team Finland plays. One thing Sweden has that Finland doesn't have as much is firepower at the pins. The pin hitters, meaning outside hitters and opposites. So Sweden has women that hit the ball hard, and Finland has some as well. But I think that's one of the things that carried Sweden in this European Championship last time. As far as personalities or whatever go, people often talk about different culture, and I guess I should say, as I just said, I've lived in many places, but I think the basic needs of a human being, they don't change very much. Maybe there's a cultural element, and you have to take it into account. That, for example, I think people in Sweden are more used to discussing things. Finns are maybe a little more quiet, but you have to care about them all the same. Nobody wants to be yelled at. People like it when they succeed. People like it when they get more competent, and that's universal.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. I can see I got one of my players in Gislaved was from Finland, and the main difference I can see, and it's impossible to tell at once, but it looked like the Finnish youth players had more skills. Like they were very good on the receiving part, the defense part. Like it feels like you spend. Can you see that the coaches from Finland haven't met another? It's hard for you to answer, and it's a hard question, but I feel like sometimes in Sweden it's more about playing. It's more about like just being a part of something, doing it, and felt like Finland put more emphasis on the training part. And maybe Tony, fill in if I'm wrong, but that's what I've seen in Finland. I always think they look technical. They look clean for some reason.
Yeah, they try to play clean volleyball is probably one of the reasons. As I said, the women's side, it's developed over the last 10 years, and it's more uniform than the men's side. The men's is as well. And I live in Kuortane, which is the town where we have a small town Olympic training center for many sports, and we get all the best. It's like Riga for you, and they do quite a bit of teaching, and they actually start the teaching at camps even before Kuortane. So whenever you have regional events, whatever, hey, here's the way we pass, here's the way we want to serve, and so on. And so the message gets emphasized, and by the time they come to national team, people usually have many basic things covered the way Finland has wanted to do it.
Yeah, that's we don't have that.
Right.
I think, and we talked about that before in Volleysnack, and I think we have a lot of good leaders, but we need better coaches also for the youth players. We are missing a lot of technical work out in Sweden when it comes to volleyball. So this, when it comes into Riga, for example, I think many times they are talent, but they have not the background of training on the right level. So yeah.
But one thing I want to add to that is that the national teams that I got to be part of, the Finnish team, Slovenia, Holland, for example, all those teams had adult players, and we still worked on the basic things.
Right.
We still worked on how to use your hands in block. We still worked on the platform, and there is maybe less time, but you still teach. And I think that's one of the things that, as I said before, like I see myself as a coach, teacher, rather, is that for sure any team that I come to, it's not like, hey, you're 27, we don't want to teach you new stuff, just do your thing. Of course, there are people that maybe don't need so much work, but anybody can learn.
Right.
And I think people are eager and hungry to learn, and you can learn. So volleyball skills, they aren't rocket science. They are motor skills that are not so difficult. And you can learn even past even Tony and I and Daniel, we can all, hopefully we can learn. So, so for sure the older players, so to speak, can do it too.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tony, did you have something?
No.
So going back to what you talked about before a little bit about your message sending out to the team, we're doing it together, we're going to be one team and so on. The fact is that we have one superstar, we have Bella, but we also have players like Anna that I think did an amazing tournament and so on. So tell us a little bit about how do you think Sweden should play with the roster that we have? Maybe it's going to change a little bit. You for sure it's going to pick your own team and so on. But like, what is your thoughts about how do we play when we have a Bella Hawk, but we also have these surrounding players that are out and playing in good leagues and getting better every day? What's your thought about that?
Well, one thing that for sure any team needs, even if they have a great player, is that still, if we don't have other players who know how to block, if we don't have other players who can kill enough balls, if we don't have good servers, then we're not going to succeed. And so, like that way, of course, someone like Bella Hawk, who plays on one of the best teams in the world, like that's wonderful. On the other hand, like there's very few teams that win championships that only function around a superstar, and I'm talking about skills now, not attitude or anything. So for sure there are things that we'll go through with every player. Hey, how can we do these things better? And that's, I think, when the magic happens. I think I said something like this: when you care about people and the relationship forms, like that's one little part of magic. But the other part is when you start fixing these little things in every position, and then it starts, as you said before, Finland plays clean volleyball. When you take inefficiencies out of the system, then it kind of, how do you call it? It's like a tide that lifts everybody's boats.
Right.
If everybody gets a little bit better, then the team gets a lot better. And maybe that's like one of the things how I want to approach it. Versus, I don't know if I understood your question correctly, but versus somebody might think, okay, we have Bella, so how can we build a system that maximizes Bella's strength, for example?
Right.
And there's nothing bad about thinking that way, but you have to remember you have a full team, and you don't know how good the others can be as well before, and so that's why the team focus is important to me.
No, I like that. Hey, so when you look at, I don't know how much you have been able to see Sweden play after you sign and before here, but what can you say? I mean, we have one big strength, of course, with Isabel, but have you seen anything else that this here we are really good in Sweden, but here we need to work on? Is there any ideas already on that, or do you want to wait and see the teams in the gym again, or what do you think?
Well, I watched the European Championship and did an analysis, statistical analysis.
Yeah.
Hey, here, these are the things we're doing well, and like I mentioned, we have players that can kill the ball, for example. And I went over this with Simon Dahl when we discussed this. I don't want to go too far into detail because I haven't met any of the players and we haven't started practicing. But one of the things that you must good teams do is they kill balls and they reduce their errors. And I think it's the silliest thing to say. Hey, kill more balls and make less errors. But easy. And part of and this goes for every position, right? And part of how you fix it is you make sure that the set is in the right place. You make it sure that the hitter jumps from the right place, and then when you've done some of the technical work, then we have to learn how to make good decisions. And clearly, Sweden did already make some good decisions because they were top 8, and that's a good result. But this work, I think, can help a lot to reduce to help the team have a higher hitting efficiency overall. Hitting efficiency matters, as we know, volleyball coaches, immensely. It's if you hit well, then it forgives you many things, and so that's just one example. Of course, I want us to have a good block defense system that's based on probability, but those are the things, like defense. It's mostly attitude and having discipline. I think when it comes to setting, hitting, so on, you need some skill, and we want to develop it.
Yeah. So do you already see things that you will play different to next summer? Is something that you will start, okay, we will speed up the game, or we will pass with 2 players, or is there anything specific that you see already? This needs to change, or we need to twist this another way?
No, actually, because since the last time I saw Sweden play on video, the European Championship, the players have had experiences over the season.
Mm.
And of course we don't exactly, and I've seen some of the club matches on video as well, but it's really important to get in the gym and just see where we are, and then start working on these fundamentals. And the European Championship that's in the fall 2023, then that's ultimately when we have to be good. That's where the goal is. And of course we want to do well in the Silver League and so on, but I don't place too much emphasis on the system or the result before actually I want to say that I don't want to put too much emphasis on the system and the result. I want to put emphasis on learning the things that will help us win at the European Championship.
And how is the program looking for Sweden this summer? Have you been able to look into that a little bit?
Yeah, we're discussing that with the staff, and the long player list will be out soon. And yeah, there will be lots of training, and then there's going to be the matches. And so, I mean, roughly we get to train the month of May, and then play the month of June. There's a little overlap with dates, but roughly. And then of course we'll start training again later in the summer and in August. But I don't know, did you have a more detailed idea in mind regarding the schedule, or?
Yeah, but everybody know that we will play Silver League, and we know the dates and all that. Is there any other matches around that, or it's just Silver League this summer?
We're working on the practice matches right now. It would be good to have one or two matches to play before we start the Silver League. But there isn't anything agreed yet. I had a discussion about this with another national team program, but their dates didn't coincide with ours. But yes, that's the plan.
So if we just stay with, you said I know that the players have been. I got the letters from you or whoever they got it, and then it's not official yet. But I know the amount also of players, a lot of players. Have you seen all them player play, or is that somebody else helping you with that?
Yeah, there's the staff will be released soon, I think, and so there's a couple people inside Sweden who are very familiar with the league and the players that are helping.
So the staff will that be Swedish staff, or will it be the foreign staff, or?
Yeah, both, a combination, but we haven't finalized, so I don't want to speak yet. I know some contracts aren't out, but that's the plan is to have a mix. But it's really important for me that there are people who are experts in Sweden and involved in Swedish volleyball.
Yeah, me and Tony is still waiting for a call, so we can talk after.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, I like, and that's something that I always talked about all the years I've been. It's important that we lift the Swedish coaches, because I know myself. I started with the Swedish junior national team '94. That was my first time I went with a team and be assisted the whole summer with the juniors, and it was good players that all of them went up to the highest league after that. So it was a really good group we had. And just a couple of years after that, I was up in the national team with the women's, and it was so important for my development as coach. And that's exactly what you talked about before, to be around good coaches, be in a program that plays international. So that's something I hope that we can be better in with the Swedish teams, to get more Swedish coaches in the system, young coaches.
Yes, and you know, that's one of the things Simon and I spoke about as well. And of course, like, the main focus is the women's team. And when we get going and we start building a culture, I think later on there will be chances for Swedish coaches to come and participate. That would be quite nice. Of course, it's not a full education program, but that way I don't. First, I want to get to know the girls and the team, but in time, it's not like we're gonna have closed doors and nobody can come in and watch. Quite the opposite. It would be nice if domestic coaches could come and watch and participate.
So with everything we talked about, I just want to say congrats to Simon and to you. I feel like Swedish Volleyball Federation did a great job finding the new coach, and I think the listeners also are super excited to get to know you in this way too. Tony, what do you have to say before we round this volley snack up?
No, I think we were a lot of coaches. Of course, we're talking about this. It's a big thing right now with the Swedish national team, successful and all that. It gets important, and we have a lot of discussions. We were in some discussion. You're a little afraid of who's coming, and for me, it was important that we had somebody coming that understand Swedish volleyball, Nordic or Scandinavian volleyball, because otherwise it can take too long to learn it and get in to running program. And so I think in this was a good decision. I liked that they chose Lauri, because I think he can go in from the first day to start running the team. He knows Swedish people. He can speak Swedish. I think. And I have no problem to take foreign coaches. It's not that. It's just that it's a little more than 1 year till we have European Championship. So we don't have so much time to learn each other. We have to start to train well and develop as a team. So in that way, I think Lauri is a good person and a good coach. So I think it was a really good decision.
Yeah, thanks for the kind words. I told Simon early on that I felt like it was a good fit, and of course remains to be seen, but at least I think there's common goals, and I think we know about each other enough to get started. One thing I want to say, which is really interesting, this is something Jukka Jalonen, the head coach of the Finnish hockey team that now won the Olympic gold, and he's won a couple of world championships as well as a coach, and he's this down-to-earth guy. Like a regular guy, like not a star coach, although he's famous. And he said something really, really interesting. He said, when we come to the national team, we want to trust each other. And because people usually say, hey, it takes time to build trust. And I guess I said the same thing a little while ago. It takes time to build relationships. And what if we just trust each other, that I have your best interest at heart, and you have, my best interest at heart, and let's see where that takes us. Because, as you said, again, 1 year isn't so much time; it's more than 1 day or 1 week. But that's one of the things I want to get into. Hey, we have good intentions, and let's go to work. And whatever problems we have, if we trust each other, we'll find a way.
Yeah, that sounds good. Hey, so one thing we talked about Silver League. I want to get back to that because we won it. I was actually part of the national team when we won it. So you know that Sweden have only won the Silver League. They never been second or third or fourth in Silver League with the women's team. Always won it when we played it. So
good tradition. It's good to keep it going.
Exactly. So have you? It's just joking around, but do you have a goal with that, or it's just preparing, or because the teams are not so strong? Do you think you have to win it, or what's your thought on that?
Of course, by winning and by going to Golden League, we get a better preparation, and so it is important. Of course, we want to win matches. Absolutely, that's what sport's about. We want to be better than the opponent. I guess what I was saying before was that. Although it's important to win, the most important prize is at the European Championship, which means that we shouldn't be hesitant about training and teaching and trying to change things. Because if we want to change things, right now is the time. And the way we want to play efficient volleyball, that we want to be in good locations in the hitters, setters, defenders, so on. We want to do that work, and we want to do it even when we play. There will be morning practices over the Silver League, and every time we step on the court, we want to be learning. And that's what makes it fun, and I think that's what the best teams do really well. I know, for example, the U.S. teams, the United States team that won the women's gold, Lucas Labe, the assistant coach on that team, he was the head coach of Slovenia when I was there. And so I have a good connection with him. And that's a mentality they often have. People think Americans just want to win and whatever, but what they really want to do is they want to learn. And And Sweden's different. Sweden's not America and it's not Finland, but I like the idea very much that when we focus on learning, good things will eventually happen.
Awesome. We want to thank you for your time, and hopefully we see you at the bleachers at some point. I'm hopeful that I can get back to Sweden and watch some good national team playing soon. But I appreciate you taking your time.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's been fun to talk with you, and thanks again for the kind words. And now really is when the work begins. But I'm super excited for this thing as well. It's good in many ways, and looking forward to it.
Good luck.